The Helensburgh Tunnels are a series of 7 abandoned tunnels that were part of the original South Coast Railway line. This railway line passed through the small township of Helensburgh, known as the gateway between the cities of Sydney and Wollongong, as it is roughly halfway between the two. Helensburgh was originally called Camp Creek and was established as a workers' camp in the 1880s to accommodate coal miners who worked in the Metropolitan Mine. It was renamed Helensburgh by Charles Harper, regarded as the founding father of the town after his daughter Helen. Helensburgh is surrounded by the Royal National Park, the Garrawarra State Conservation Area, the water catchment of the Warrenora Dam, as well as the adjacent Heathcote National Park. Helensburgh owes its existence to the Metropolitan Coal Mine that is still in operation today and is notable for being Australia's oldest working mine. The job opportunities provided by the mine in those early days meant that Helensburgh continued to thrive after the neighbouring villages of Corley and Lilyvale slowly dwindled and disappeared, eventually to be reclaimed by the bush. The expansion of the railways to the south throughout the 1880s and 1890s also provided employment for many and added to the area's population. Helensburgh is home to 6 of the original 7 tunnels. While the original South Coast Railway line was shorter and more direct, parts of the line had to be changed because the gradient was too steep to transport people and coal over the rugged terrain.
This tunnel was originally the first connection between Sydney and the Illawarra for the railway system. It was a single line connection on a very steep grade. Unfortunately, a single line with a very steep grade wasn't very effective for transportation of people and coal, so the government decided in the early part of the 20th century to put in a double line connection between Waterfall and the Illawarra. And so they closed down the whole single line system by 1915 and the tunnels. In those days, back in the early part of the 20th century, they just didn't have the technology to widen a tunnel out, so they just literally abandoned them. Waterfall, the first tunnel on the line, when the government decided to open up from a single line to a double line, it was literally demolished. The whole tunnel was turned into a cutting, and that was near where that Waterfall train accident occurred. 2001, I think that accident occurred where the train derailed.
The Waterfall Tunnel, originally located around 1.6 kilometres south of the current Waterfall railway station. This tunnel was originally 191 metres long. It was duplicated in 1914, at which point it was opened out and is now an open cutting. The only way to see this cutting is by passing through as a passenger on the local trains.
The Corley Tunnel today is used as an environmental roost for microbats by the National Parks and Wildlife Service. It was specifically designated as an environmentally protected area, so people can't go into it. For quite a while it was used as a mushroom tunnel until mushrooming in this area became uneconomical. And when they moved out, National Parks took it over and converted it into a roost for microbats.
The second of the tunnels was the Corley Tunnel, which passes through the Corley Range, located in the Garrawarra State Conservation Area, just north of Helensburgh. The tunnel is 381 metres long and was initially near the township of Corley, which housed railway workers and their families in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. The township is no longer in existence and the area has become part of the Garrawarra State Conservation Area. The northern entrance to the tunnel now has a metal barrier and a concrete floor as a result of a mushroom farming project in the later years. Visitors are able to walk through the damaged barrier through to the southern entrance. However, the terrain surrounding both ends is quite hostile for the walker. Thick scrubland and watercourses make the tunnel difficult to access. Permission from State Railway is needed to access the southern entrance directly as it is enclosed land.
Third tunnel is called the Helensburgh Tunnel. It was used as a mushroom tunnel also for quite a while, and that was also abandoned. The mushroom sheds in front of it demolished and taken away, and today it's basically a short 85 metre long tunnel.
The Helensburgh Tunnel is a short 80-metre tunnel located on what was the northern end of the original railway station. This is located only metres from the current railway station and is one of 2 easily accessible tunnels. This tunnel was also used as a mushroom farm after it was abandoned. While the tunnel is easily accessed, visitors are prevented from walking through the tunnels due to gating at both ends and gigantic metal poles at the northern end.
The tunnel that we're looking at here, the Metropolitan Tunnel, was the longest in Helensburgh. The station platform here ran between the two tunnels, and it's the only place in Australia where you had a platform sandwiched between two tunnels. The Metropolitan Tunnel here was then converted into a dam in the 1920s by the colliery. They did that by putting a concrete plug at the far end. It stored about 5 million litres of water, which was very important in those days because we didn't have a major dam nearby. The Warrenora Dam wasn't built until the 1950s. When the Warrenora Dam was built, this tunnel was abandoned as a storage facility and left unused and derelict for quite a few years. In 1995, the mine decided to get rid of all the rubbish that had accumulated over the platform, and they unearthed a couple of bricks. I asked them if we could excavate the platform, and they said yes. So they took out about 40 truckloads of rubbish and silt and left what we have today, which is now a very important tourist attraction for Helensburgh. There's a very big population of glowworms in the tunnel. Unfortunately, they do their business at night. That's when they glow. You can see a few of them glowing during the daytimes, but you've got to go right into the tunnel to see them. At night time, the whole top of the portal and the tunnel itself just fluoresces. There's just so many of them. Unfortunately, visitation here has been a problem with people bringing in flares and fireworks, and we have had a decrease in population of the glowworms, but it's starting to pick up again. But it's one of the big draw cards of the night time, particularly on nights where there's no moon.
The Metropolitan Tunnel is roughly 624 metres long. The northern entrance is just metres from the road. Because of the plug at the southern end, the tunnel is prone to flooding. At one point, there were rumours of an abandoned steam train being buried in the tunnel. However, when the mine cleared the tunnel in 1995, those rumours were put to rest. While the tunnel still has drainage problems, it now plays host to one of the larger colonies of glowworms in New South Wales.
The tunnel on the other side of the Camp Gully, the Lilyvale Tunnel, was abandoned, and they constructed another tunnel to handle the double line system.
The Lilyvale Tunnel No. 1 is located just south of the Metropolitan Mine and is 80 metres long. Lilyvale Tunnel No. 2 is roughly 250 metres south of the first tunnel and is 322 metres long. These tunnels are in surprisingly good condition as a result of minimal access by the general public. The second tunnel is located right next to the current tunnel used by New South Wales Railways, which accounts for its lack of access. The original railway station at Lilyvale, situated just south of the second tunnel, no longer exists, nor does the township of Lilyvale, which has, for the most part, been absorbed into the Royal National Park, as all that remains of the township are a few properties nearby.
Quite a few people around saying the death occurred in this tunnel, the Metropolitan Tunnel. It's just not true. The story that started this was concerning a miner who was on his way home to Clifton. Well, Clifton is not north of Helensburgh, it's south of Helensburgh. And to get to Clifton, you don't go through this tunnel. Back in those days, you went through the short Lilyvale Tunnel. In the coroner's report on that death, he mentioned the short tunnel. And there are only two short tunnels, the Helensburgh Tunnel and the Lilyvale Tunnel, which is on the other side of Camp Creek. And it's obvious that it had to be one of those. The major tunnel was the Otford Tunnel, and it was a long, steep tunnel going from Otford down to Stanmore Park, and it was a very dangerous tunnel. That was also abandoned, and it's now used today for transporting by pipes sewage from Stanmore Park community up here to the pumping station and then out to Kurnell.
Otford Tunnel measures 1,550 metres in length, double the length of any of the other tunnels. The tunnel goes straight for most of its length with a short turn near the Stanwell Park end. The original single-line tunnel was the most dreaded of the tunnels due to its steep incline of 1 in 40. Accessing the northern end of the tunnel is difficult, except through private properties. The southern end is more accessible, but has been the victim of vandalism for many years. Visitors with a sense of adventure can walk through the tunnel from the southern end and once past the 200-metre mark can see the light at the other end. The Otford Tunnel also had a death only a few years prior to the closure of the 7 tunnels.
Residents in the Northern Illawarra are leading a campaign to have the old Otford Rail Tunnel opened up. They're asking the state government to return the tunnel to the community and open it as a rail trail for cyclists and walkers.
The old tunnel joining Otford and Stanwell Park hasn't been used as a rail line for nearly 100 years. Now, covered in graffiti and garbage, local residents want to see the heritage site put to good use.
Many of the tunnels are showing signs of vandalism and a lack of coordinated maintenance, but this could be reversed. These tunnels are part of Australia's history, and the possibility of having some of the tunnels restored and open to the public would see less vandalism, as they would be more visible to the responsible public. If restored to their former glory, the tunnels would provide an interesting tourist attraction for not only Australians, but for overseas visitors as well, creating greater business for the region. This type of project is achievable over time, as proved by one local resident who has almost single-handedly transformed the northern entrance to the Otford Tunnel despite it being on railway land and landlocked.